and people kept saying Magicka Nightblade doesn't work. Well, today guys, I'm going to show you how to play it properly with a highly effective build, so stay tuned. Hey, it's Dan, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now in this video guys, I'm going to break down Shroud Mark II. It's a Magicka Nightblade PvP build designed for the current patch. It's tanky, it hits hard, and it has absolutely amazing sustain. This is like hands down my most favourite but also my most effective Magicka Nightblade build that I've played to date, and it's designed for the current patch. Now looking at that build and just kind of how it works, I'm going to start with the race, but what you'll notice so far is that the build video is looking very different. I've decided to put the gameplay in the bottom right of the screen this time and kind of just show the build through the menus and stuff on the main part of the screen. So if you like this kind of build video style, this format, do let me know because it's quicker for me to make and I hope it's going to be more useful for you guys going forward. But for that race we are a high elf. I use a high elf currently, but I've tested Breton and I've also tested Maud as well. They're both great choices and it's cost me a lot of crowns to test them, but they work really well. For me though, the high elf was just like the most rounded out of all of them. This passive here, Spell Recharge, gives you stamina sustain basically, which is like really helpful. If you're out of stamina you're dead, if you're out of magicka you're dead, and if you're out of health you're dead, so this passive just really helps kind of fix the stam sustain issues that magicka classes have generally. It also gives us max magicka, which is more damage, and it gives us spell damage, which is more damage, so it's perfect. I then pair this with the Mage Mundus down here. The Mage Mundus gives us max magicka, which again buffs our damage, our healing and our survivability like shields, so it's just hands down like a really good Mundus to have. So if you've missed that, we are a high elf and we are rocking the Mage Mundus. If you want to play this as a Breton, absolutely fine, still use the Mage Mundus. And if you go as a Nord, use the Mage Mundus or the Apprentice Mundus. But those are your race and Mundus options there guys. As for the food, you have a choice of Tri-Stat food or Witch Mothers. You could use Crown food, I got that from the daily rewards, it's the same as Purple Crown food, so like long thin pastry. You could even go with the gold food, which is Bewitched Sugar Skulls. Really good stuff, but by god is it expensive. You could use Witch Mothers instead in no CP, which works really well. But in all honesty, I use Tri-Stat for both of them because I like the extra stamina pool. As for the potions, I would recommend using Tri-Stat potions, so health, magicka and stamina back. And these are like a really good oh no button. If you're out of stamina, you're going to die. If you're out of magicka, you're going to die. And if you're out of health, you're dead anyway. So this just does anything that you need, any kind of eventuality, this will do it. Alternatively though, you could use spell power potions, so like crown ones, alliance war potions or crafted ones. You get a bit more damage on the build, but it's not needed in all honesty. But those are the consumable options there for you. And I often get asked, do I use poisons? I don't in all honesty, no poisons on this build. I'm now going to break down the skills, what you need to know before the gear, because the skills are really important for this kind of playstyle and it's where we get our tankiness from. So, on my front bar, I use Swallow Soul as my spammable. This goes up to like almost 9 to 10,000 when I'm fully buffed up, so it's really hard, and we have loads of penetration behind it. This heals us as it does damage, so it's really good. You weave this with light attacks basically. We then use Mass Hysteria as our stun. You could use Flame Clench for range if you really want, but I like this skill here because it's a good kind of get off me if you're being pressured by lots of people. We then use Dampen Magic as kind of like a pseudo burst heal. We can put it on before we go offensive, so get like a little bit of extra max health basically, or we can put it on when we're going defensive and basically just have a bit more bulk when we need it. I then use Inner Light, which is just here for the max magicka and the crit chance, which is always nice. We then run Merciless Resolve, which is kind of like our big burst ability. It's like sort of Crystal Fragments, but sort of the Magicka Nightblade's version. What's really nice though is that this hits really hard, as you can see, and that's like without major sorcery, but it also makes us tankier as well. So the idea is that when we kind of get this up, we get up to 10% damage reduction, which is awesome. And it heals us too, if we're kind of in melee range, which we are because we're trying to land Soul Harvest. If we land Soul Harvest, it hits really hard. It buffs our damage by 20% and it also afflicts a major defile, so it's like perfect. So I often go get them up, so I light attack, swallow soul, light attack, swallow soul, get my Merciless Resolve ready, go Soul Harvest into Merciless Resolve, or Soul Harvest, Fear, Merciless Resolve, Roll Dodge, and you can land these two together, which basically one-shots people or does most of the health bar. It's really good. On the back bar I use Siphoning Attacks. This is like a sustain skill, so it heals us but it gives us magicka back. and it's like a net profit if you light attack weave regularly with this, so you kind of need to use this skill and this skill properly to get like loads of passive healing. We then use rapid regeneration as kind of like a, oh no, we need to have like a burst heal. I then use shadow image as kind of like a get away from me, so I put this before the fight, push it when I need it, I can teleport straight to it, and then cloak. It also afflicts a minor maim on the target, so in a one-on-one this is like phenomenal because it basically makes you really tanky. It does a little bit of damage, but it makes you tanky, which is the main thing from this. We then use shadowy disguise because for me I want to be a Nightblade, I want to be in cloak, be invisible, so this works really well. It gives us crit damage when we attack from stealth, it gives us crit heals when we go into stealth and then use a heal. And then what makes it really special is debilitate, which is like a fantastic skill, like so good. It does damage over time, it snares the target, but the big thing is that it gives you minor Magicka steal, which is basically 600 Magicka recovery on the stat page, which you can't see, so it's like phenomenal. And then for the back bar ultimate, I either use Soul Tether or Temporal Guard. Temporal Guard is better for just damage mitigation, just bulk, but Soul Tether is a good oh no button if you kind of need to get people off you if you're being outnumbered. So I kind of go between the two, so it's either Temporal Guard or Soul Tether. Those are the skills, and in all honesty I wouldn't really swap any of them out. I will go through combos at the end of the video like I always do, so do check that because that would really help you out. Now the part that everybody skips to, the gear. So I am using Spinners, Lich, 1 Tudor, and Pirate Skeleton, so there they are. And I'm also using 2 Potentes. Okay? So I'm going to go through kind of the loadout, so feel free to pause it, watch it again, but listen carefully because I'm going to explain how it works and why it's really tanky and you need this kind of setup. I use a Spinner's Inferno Staff and I use a Shock Glyph on this just to give minor vulnerability, which basically means we do more damage. I use Sharpen because that's the best damage trait in the game. And you'll notice that Spinners is active on the front bar, so you get 2, 3, 4 and 5 active. When I switch to the back bar though, my Spinners is now only active 2 and 3, so my 4 and 5 piece turn off, which is good because we don't really need the extra penetration, which is the main selling point of Spinners. But what that does allow us to do is turn on Lich, which means we can get the 5 pieces Lich active, so we get the 2, 3, 4 and 5 on the back bar. But if we're on the front bar, we only have access to the 2 and the 3 piece, which means the 5 piece isn't doing anything yet. But what's really special about Lich is that it's a buff, and this 996 is not 996, it's a lot more than that, okay? Now my regen is 1200 on the front bar, but if I put my Lich on the back bar, I can then go and get access to that regen buff and carry it through to the front bar, which is like phenomenal. So I'm quickly just training my resources, get below 30%, Lich now is active, go to my front bar, I have 2700 regen, push a potion, I now have 3100 regen, plus the 600 from our skills, plus the regen from Siphon and attacks. So all in all it's about 4000 regen on this build, and Lich is up like most of the time. When it's down we can then go invisible, cloak away, shade, play a bit more defensive, so Lich is a fantastic set to pair this with. And as for the enchantment, I use a weapon damage glyph that gives us more spell damage if we attack somebody, and a defending trait. For the monster set I'm using 1 Pirate Skeleton and 1 Tudor. I don't have my Undaunted yet on this build, which is why I've gone heavy and heavy here. If you have Undaunted, go 1 heavy and 1 medium, but 2 heavy is still really good even with Undaunted, just because you actually get, you know, longer on your armor buff, which is really important. I use Impenetrable on all of my cheat pieces, so every armor piece is impenetrable. I use Tri-Set on the head, the chest and the legs, it's like a standard for Magicka builds, and an Impenetrable on all the small pieces still, and max Magicka. My shoulders was health, but you could change to Magicka if you see fit. With the jewellery, which is a little complicated, you need to have 1 piece of Lich or Spinners, I've gone with Lich because I have it, and then 2 Potentes. Now one of those Potentes I changed to Arcane, and the other one stayed as healthy just to give us a bit more health to make us a bit tankier, plus we get the 2 piece on at all times. And then my Lich is here. I've gone with Arcane, Healthy and Arcane, and it's spell damage and recovery. I use this in Battlegrounds as it is as well. Sometimes though you might want to have 2 recoveries if you're feeling a bit, there's not enough sustain, but in all honesty the sustain's like stupidly high, so you don't need to. I get asked this an awful lot, should I go as a vampire? And well, yes. As a vampire you get access to supernatural recovery, which is 10% magical recovery, which is like phenomenal. We then get Undeath, which is like damage reduction, which is awesome, and we get Stalker, which is like really important. So you want to get this passive ideally if you use Cloak an awful lot. Now people go, what's your CP? So my CP, as you can see, has been min-maxed like all of my builds. Copy it, adjust the green bit if you want kind of for your personal playstyle, but I would copy the CP as it is. And then the last part of the video that I go through is combos, like tips and tricks on how to stay alive, do damage, all that good stuff. So what I find is that if you kind of want to do damage, you need to really get your Merciless Resolve off. So the idea here is that you basically have to light attack with Swallow Soul, and then you keep doing that until your Merciless Resolve is ready. You then have a few options. You can either do a fully charged heavy attack and then Merciless Resolve, which is that bow skill. It hits really hard, that combo. It procs your glyph, it hits the skill, so you do like 10 to 15k burst instantly, which is awesome. You could also do this at point blank with Soul Harvest, so you get your Merciless Resolve ready, fully charged heavy attack. As you put in the staff back, tap the Merciless Resolve skill, and then push Soul Harvest afterwards, which basically one-shot most people. Alternatively, you could get your Merciless Resolve ready, you then go up to somebody, you hit them with Soul Harvest. They will roll dodge at this point, you let them do it, then you fear them and fire the bow, or you fire the bow once they finish roll dodging. And that means that they will basically get hit by it, it does 20% more damage because you hit them with Soul Harvest, and they will die really fast. If they're still alive at this point, just light attack Swallow Soul until they're dead. And if they don't die, you just get another Merciless Resolve already again, so you just fire that again, and just repeat, just overwhelm them with just consistent high damage that they just can't heal through. As for staying alive, it's really simple. You have Cloak, which is like a good get out of jail button. You also have the Shade, which basically allows you to teleport. So if you put this kind of around the corner just before you fight, or if you're being chased, put it down on the floor, run away, then tap the skill, you can teleport back to it through the walls and stuff, which means you can just get away from a lot of trouble. And so that works really well. You then have Rapid Regen as a way to kind of just heal through the damage. And you also have Dampen Magic on the front bar, which allows you to kind of cast a shield and then put the heals on underneath, like Swallow Soul, your light attacks. So the idea is that to be tanky, you have to be offensive. I found that if I try to just rotate heals and stuff, I can't stay alive easily, but as soon as I'm going offensive and I'm actually damaging them, I proc Merciless Resolve, that gives me big burst heals, I proc Swallow Soul, which is obviously lots of heal over times, I proc myself in attacks, which is heal over times. So the kind of trick to playing Magblade is actually being offensive. The more offensive you are, whilst maintaining your shields, the easier you are to stay alive. So it sounds really counterintuitive, but honestly all your skills and all your healing is based on doing damage. So if you're not damaging somebody, you're only getting like 1 heal. If you're damaging somebody, you're getting like 3 or 4 heals, which is like significantly more healing. So that's like the biggest tip that I can give you from playing like this in Battlegrounds and in Cyrodiil and stuff. But that's kind of the build there, guys. It's a lot shorter than normal. I hope you found that helpful, and if you haven't done so, do like, subscribe, comment, share, and I'll catch you in the next one. Let me know what you think of this format, but thanks for watching, take care, and bye!